Today, on Be Something Wonderful, the law of assumption doesn't change reality, it chooses reality. What Neville Goddard didn't say. I am your host, Tom Kearin, and these are the studios at Be Something Wonderful, where we help you level up and become the best version of yourself. Creators, good morning, and welcome back to the studios of Be Something Wonderful. We just released a big video on our other YouTube channel, The Tom Kearin. You can find us there at The Tom Kearin. And the name of that video was How the Law of Assumption Replaces Reality Instantly. In other words, the law of assumption is about choosing from all possible versions of you and versions of reality, all possible ideas of scripts or lifelines or timelines. It's not about changing any one reality or version of you or version of potential reality that you are. God is God. All that is all that is. You don't change any part of God or all that is. It's not about getting rid of any one reality. It's about choosing from the infinite versions of you and your reality. So you're not altering or changing your reality. You're replacing it with your choice. This is what we talked about in yesterday's video. And we talked about a couple stories. Two different creator stories. One is created this experience of manifesting her specific person. The other creating the experience of manifesting their dream job. Both imagined and assumed and felt the conviction of being and occupying that desired version of them in their reality. In other words, they felt the conviction. They understood that, yeah, what I imagine, what I assume is reality, right here and right now. And so based on that, they took action. They reached out, one to her specific person, the other to the employer. And in both instances, they reported that they experienced evidence of the opposite or the undesired reality, a version of the specific person that seemed to be behaving like before. The employer is still uncertain whether they want this guy in their company, right? Still uncertain. Now hear this. So what's going on? Nothing. They moved. They're in their new reality. Remember, when you move to that new version of you in that new reality, you create that polarity, that change. That version of who you are, and then there's the version of who you were, or the reality that's no longer your choice. Just because you see it means nothing. It's only evidence that you moved. Unless you make it evidence of something else. You're the only proof. In other words, your imagined scene, your assumptions are reality. And I know Neville Goddard and others talk about this idea of it unfolding and hardening, it hardens into fact. But your assumptions are facts. Your imaginal scenes are reality. They are fact right now. And it's not about whether you took action or don't take action. That's irrelevant. I know there's teachers say, well, you shouldn't take action unless it's inspired. All actions are inspired. All of them. It doesn't matter what you do or don't do. They're either inspired by one of two things. They're either inspired by I am that which I desire to be, or I am not. That's inspired action. It's all inspired. Right? And some of you are asking, well, what about action that's received? That seems like it's a nudge or intuitive. Remember, your reality. So everything is received and created and conjured at the same time. Cause equals effect. You're all of it. The only question is it coming from the idea of I am or I am not? That's what you're inspired by. They both moved. Right? From who they were to who they desire to be. It's a completely new you in reality. The behaviors of the specific person, the employer, are absolutely irrelevant because now you know who you are. We're going to show you this today like we never have before. Neville Goddard, as I said in this video on the Tom Kearin channel, I'm going to really unpack it further today, said this idea about the law of assumption. That which you imagine and assume, affirm and accept as true of yourself and the truth of your reality, with the feeling and conviction of already being it and already occupying it, if persisted in, will harden into facts, will harden into fact. This is the basic idea of the law of assumption. But here's what Neville Goddard didn't say. What you imagine, assume, and affirm and accept as true of you and your reality are facts, in our reality here and now. Yes, he created the idea of hardening into facts as a concession, as a permission slip, for you to accept that your assumption, your imagined scene is reality here and now. And that whole idea of persisting in has been misinterpreted. Persistence, not about efforting and trying and imagining and assuming until something happens out there. Persisting is not something you do. Persisting is a decision you make here and now. It's a decision. That's what persistence is. It's a decision to decide and choose that I am that person that I decide to be. That my assumptions are reality no matter what. That what I imagine is real in reality here and now. That's persistence. It's you just not moving from that decision to be that person you desire to be. It's not something you do, it's a decision. Not something you do, it's a decision you make. And the idea that it hardens into facts, that's a concession Neville made. Your assumption is a fact. Your imaginal scene is a fact here and now. It is reality. Neither your imaginal scene nor your assumptions harden in the facts. And your assumptions don't make your imaginal scene a fact. That's all coming from separation, limitation, and I am not yet. I think my team sent me a comment that one of you made on the channel, I think, or on the group, that you know, you've been living it. The reason you haven't manifested what you want is because you've been living in your imagination and not living in your assumption. That your assumptions make your imaginal scenes facts. That's nice, but that's not true either. That's just another idea of separation. Your assumptions don't make your imaginal scenes facts. There's no difference between your imaginal scene and your assumptions. They're all reality here and now. What makes it facts is you. Your assumption and your imaginal scene are the same. All of that creates this idea that something happens in the future where it hardens into facts. So you're just saying the same thing, that it's in the future, that I'm separate from what I want, that I'm limited, that I'm not yet that which I desire to be. What you imagine, assume, and desire to be and have exists as a fact here and now, or it doesn't exist at all. It can't exist. Because non-existence doesn't exist. God is all that is. So if you imagine it, if you assume it, if you desire it, it exists here and now as a fact. It doesn't harden in the facts. It doesn't come in the future. It doesn't come over some bridge. Even the bridge of incidents. All of those are concessions that Neville made, giving you a permission slip until you accept that you're already that which you desire to be. So the idea that it hardens into facts, the bridge of incidents, that you persist in imagining the assumption of feeling of wish fulfilled, all of them are simply permission slips, concessions to the idea of the physically focused you that in this moment still can't accept that they're already that person that they desire to be. Wow, this is powerful. All simply permission slips that may or may not move you to the conviction and acceptance that you're already that which you imagine, assume, and desire to be, whether you see it or believe it or not. In other words, they may or may not. You're the only one who decides it. Do you see this? Your assumptions are reality. What you imagine is reality. Or you wouldn't even be able to imagine it, assume it, or desire it, or even think of it unless it was a fulfilled reality here and now. So yes, there's nothing wrong with these ideas, and we have talked about these ideas in early videos. But they're all concessions and permission slips. Wow. And I know some of you say, I don't want to only live in my imagination, in my 4D. But that's you creating separation. Imagination, or I am that which I desire to be, is the only reality. It's not about only living in 4D. You're not living only in 4D. You're not living only in 3D or 2D or 5D or any Ds. You are reality. It doesn't harden in the facts. It's a fact right now. What you believe is true. And the reason why it hasn't manifested is not because you're only living in imagination and not in your assumption. I know one of you mentioned that. And your assumption does not make your imaginal scenes harden in the fact. Your assumptions in your imaginal scene are the same. There's no difference. That's all just another idea of I am not yet. Yeah, it makes you feel a little better, but it's still I am not yet that which I desire to be. Your imagination, your imaginal scene are your assumptions, are facts, are reality here and now. They're all the same. 3D, 4D, 5D is all the same. It's one reality and you're it. Your imagined scene, your assumptions, your affirmations, your desires are reality here and now. Or you wouldn't even be desiring it, or affirming it, or assuming it, or imagining it. You wouldn't be able to even conjure the idea. That's what the ancients meant, for in Him we live and move and exist. In Him, it's not only in your imagination, in Him, period. You is all that is. Wow. So what you imagine and assume doesn't change or alter reality. It doesn't necessarily harden in the facts. It is reality. It is a fact here and now. You don't change or alter, you choose. From where? From the infinite alternative versions of you and reality that you already are. We pointed to this in our video on the Kearin channel. The script is written, as A Course in Miracles says, but all scripts are written. In other words, all things are possible. What you imagine and assume, all of those exist here and now. But we create this idea of this hardened reality that we want to change by what we imagine and assume in our imagination, hoping that it hardens in the facts. In other words, that these facts change into these other facts. So it doesn't matter whether this idea of only living in your imagination or living in your assumption, all of that is just living in separation from that which you desire to be. This script is written. Forget this script. It doesn't change. It has its own fate. It has its own destiny. But there are infinite scripts. That's the only reason why you create the experience that it's not manifesting. The fate is sealed. Your persistence or assumption don't harden your imaginal scenes into facts in this reality or version of you, period. It doesn't happen there. That reality is written. That's why you're creating that experience. So, nothing makes your imaginal scene or assumption harden in the fact or appear as a bridge of incidents because it's already a fact. It's already a reality. There are infinite choices, scripts, realities, and versions of you. There you are again as all that is. All possibilities, Christ consciousness, all versions of you, all lives, all lifetimes, past, present, and future exists here and now. All infinite versions of realities and versions of you. All possible experiences. You as that one I am. And in every moment, your assumptions about yourself and your reality create your entire life experience. It's not that they harden the facts, that it is a fact. Whatever you assume right now is your truth, is your reality. And no amount of persisting or imagining or banging on affirmations changes it unless you declare it's true right now, unless you stand in that idea that I am already that which I desire to be. The law of assumption doesn't change anything. It chooses. It doesn't change or alter reality. Don't wait for it to harden into facts out there. There is no out there. Your truth is the proof, as I said in that video recently on the Kearin channel. And here are all the potential possible versions of you in your lives. All of them. Every frame exists. Every possibility, every past, present, and future combination exists here and now as a fact. as potential within you. There is no out there. There's no solid reality out there. It's changing in every moment by what you assume. Your assumptions are reality here and now. Your imaginal scene is reality here and now. Everything else just creates an idea that it's separate from you and will someday in some future harden into a fact or manifest over some bridge of incidents. Remember, when you assume you are that person you desire to be, then every event is proof of that. Every event is part of the bridge. In other words, you are that reality now. It doesn't come in the future, it comes here and now. This is powerful. And I want to show you this because this idea, as we're talking about these two different creators, one talking about her specific person and seeing an unwanted version of him after her feeling and knowing she's in that new reality, new version of her. And then the guy looking for that dream job and then reaching out to his employer and then saying they're still not certain. And feeling that, okay, those are those opposites and not knowing what to do. Well, normally what happens is we're over here. Remember, all manifesting and change and knowing yourself as all that is creates polarity. It creates movement. God is still. Be still and know. That's the knowing. You are that knowing spirit already. That never changes. You'll always be that stillness. You'll always be existence itself. But how do you know that experientially? You create movement. Remember, I've talked about the primal polarity of all that is, of God. Was God creating that awareness of being, that I am awareness? You are, that perfect polarity is knowing that you're all that is, creating the idea of moving to something you desire to be now from something you no longer desire to be. But what we do is we exaggerate and go and move to these excess polarity, excess positive polarity that many spiritual teachers call it positive attachment. Right? That is the idea of a positive attachment. I'm believing it, I'm feeling fulfilled, but then I see a reality or a version that's the opposite, of course. Because movement creates polarity. Change creates polarity. Desire creates polarity. In other words, it creates a difference between who you were and who you are now. Beingness is polarity. It's the perfect polarity. So here, as you know, when you stand in the knowing and see your specific person that's not the version that you desire, and the employer that's not picking you, you know that that's not your reality. You're right, you're in the vertical of perfect polarity. You still moved, but you're not swinging all the way over here or all the way over here to negative polarity. Still attachment. So you see that, and then you move all the way over here to I'm doubting it. I'm feeling lack. I'm feeling loss. Both of these ideas are excess polarity. Both of these are secondary causes, secondary conditions, where we place too much importance. This is what Vadim Zeland and reality transurfing would call excess importance or excess potential. Remember, you're all potential. And it's just you swinging over to these extremes where movement still happens in the vertical. Beingness is beingness. You're being God. And you're still seeing the idea of a version of your specific person is not what you desire or that employer, but you know you've already chosen. You know who you are, so you know reality must reflect that. That you don't have to do anything with that reality that is not your choice. Simply stand in your assumption that my assumptions are reality here and now. What I imagine is reality. Remember, desire is the primal polarity. Polarity. It's the primal polarity. I love how my voice raised on that. And of existence, to exist. Consciousness to be conscious. Awareness to be aware. It's the livingness of that one life. That's what desire is. You're not here to be denied any of that. Consciousness wouldn't be consciousness unless it was conscious of something. What is that something? Itself. Awareness wouldn't be aware unless it was aware of something. What is that aware of? Itself. That change or polarity of those opposites or duality is the beingness of all that is. right? When God moved and created the birth of the Son of God, right? The birth of that I am awareness was the primal polarity, the polarity of beingness, the polarity of all that potential, all that is, and all that you are, to create any experience of all that you are that you desire. Movement is you knowing yourself as God experientially. From here to there. From then to now. That's the whole idea. It's only when we move when we swing to these excesses, this idea. We create this idea. You might see that the specific person's not that desired version, or the employer is still undecided. Well, it doesn't matter unless you make it matter. Unless you go, okay, I'm going to try harder. I'm going to really believe and fulfilled. And you swing all the way over here, and then it creates that polarity where you swing back to doubting it and feeling empty and feeling lack. When you just need to be still, you're still moving, but you're moving from a knowing that you're already that which you desire to be. You're standing in that absolute awareness and knowing that I already made my choice. I know who I am. My assumptions are reality. My imaginal scene is reality. What I say and choose is reality. I don't have to do anything with that version or that script or that lifeline or that whatever that is showing me. I don't have to do anything with that because I've already chosen. That's simply the polarity of me making that choice. Me standing firm in my knowing that I am that person I desire to be. So reality must form around that. Remember, it's all that is you standing at the center of all that you are. You could see any potential reality because you're all that is. So no amount of time living and persisting only in your imagination or your assumption hardens your imaginal scene or anything else into facts. It's not about living in your assumption. It's not about living in your imagination. None of that. And nor does it create a bridge of incidents for you to cross to a new identity and reality. It's about knowing that you are reality. Knowing that your assumptions, your imagined scene is reality now. Not that it hardens into facts over time. All of that just creates I am not yet that which I desire to be. All of those are just concessions or permission slips. We've made those concessions. We've talked about those teachings. You say, then what then? What is it? Your assumptions are reality now. Your scenes are reality now. You are all that is, being aware of itself from infinite viewpoints or perspectives. Your assumptions and imaginal scenes don't harden in the facts of reality. They are reality. You are reality. Your assumptions are the truth and proof of your reality. That idea of that subconscious is you. That subconscious means it's subjective or subject to your command, to what you decide, to your truth. It's subordinate and it's servant to you. You get to decide it all. Do you see? They're not merely, as I said in the recent video, you're not merely the operant power. That's true, but you're all power. Even operant power gives this idea of separation. You are all the power and all the reality it is. Your assumptions are reality. Your imaginal scenes are reality. The idea of persisting in something over time gives the idea that you gotta make something happen. That it has to harden into facts in time and space. But you are that reality in your assumption of it. You are reality. That's what we're saying here. So it's not that your assumptions make your imaginal scene harder than reality. There's no difference between assumptions and your imaginal scene. Whatever you imagine and assume is your reality. What you accept as the truth or what's true of who you are here and now. That's powerful. So the law of assumption doesn't change or delete or get rid of or alter any one version of you or reality. It doesn't harden into facts over time and in space. Persisting is not about tolerating a reality that you don't desire until something changes out there. Persistence is a decision. It's not something you do, it's a decision you make. here and now, to be that version of you that you desire no matter what. I am your host, Tom Kearin, and these are the studios of Be Something Wonderful, where we help you level up and become the best version of yourself. Creatives, thank you. Thank you for being with me. Thank you for just liking and sharing and commenting on the videos. Be sure to visit the Tom Kearin YouTube channel. Big video there that we just released that relates to this one. I think you'll enjoy it. We also have a live event a week from today, Sunday, on the 28th of October, where I go live and I answer your questions on the Be Something Wonderful membership channel. So more to come. Creators with great light, with great love and infinite gratitude. Until next time, we'll see you soon.